Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, a big Sunday afternoon of racing at Sam Houston. We're going to take a look at the Grade 3 John B. Connally Turf Cup. Our preview is presented by DRF Bets. If you sign up for a DRF Bets account, Matt, I bet you know this.
I do.
$200, you do?
By heart.
$200 free bet, no deposit required. He should be doing it. DRF.com
I do it often.
join, promo code FREEBET09. Let's take a look at the field for the John B. Connally Turf Cup. We're going a mile and a half. $200,000 is the purse. This is really a fun race. We've got the defending champion in here, and that's bigger picture. And he's just a cool horse, closing in on $1 million in lifetime earnings.
Yeah, he's the kind of horse that it's easy to root for. You like to see him go out there, do his thing. You know, at one time he was in for $32,000. But the thing of it, too, from a handicapping standpoint, on paper, on just figures alone, he lays over this field. He deserves to be 8-5 on the morning line. I can understand anyone, though, that wants to take a little bit of a shot against him.
Well, you can't hold the Breeders' Cup turf in against him. He was just simply overmatched at 31-1. And if you actually strike that race from the record, there's nothing but one good effort after one good effort. And you look at a couple of horses that kind of underperformed in the turf, horses like It's in the Post or Hunt, and all they've done is come back with win with Beyer speed figures of 99 in graded stakes races. Bigger picture's the one to beat. He obviously runs well over this course. Does it bother you, though, that he's only run once in Saratoga?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the thing with the horse like this, we talked about it. I mean, let's also keep in mind, as good as he is and as cool as he is, he was in for 32 at one point. So it's almost like you got to kind of pick your spots. To me, I look at it and say the Breeders' Cup, they were going to take a shot. Clearly didn't work. He was in over his head. Other than that, between then, I suppose you've got the race at Belmont, the Joe Hirsch. But other than that, Mike Maker usually doesn't ship to the West Coast. You really don't have a lot of options. It's not the end of the world to me. I would imagine if he's here, he's going to be ready to go. He's
a very versatile horse that can adapt to the running style of a race. And the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector has the two, Roman Approval, out there on the lead. And I agree wholeheartedly. Roman Approval is at his best when able to control the pace. This is a horse that Michael Maker used to train. He's now with Tom Morley.
Yeah, this is a horse that's going to go. It's just so difficult. I know he's won races in the past. He's 9 for 46 lifetime. It's so difficult for me to get past the 18 runner-ups and the 6 third-place finishes. I feel like, to me, he's probably going to be around at the end, but I don't know that he's a true win candidate.
He was in against the much-improved Gold Shield in his most recent start. That horse came back to finish third in the H. Allen Jerkins with a 92 Beyer. He'll compete on Saturday at Gulfstream in the W.L. McKnight Stakes. Let's talk about Big Bend a little bit. This is a very lightly raced, newly turned 4-year-old. He's won 3 out of his last 4 starts. But what happened last time? Was it just simply a situation where a mile at this point in his career is too sharp for him?
I also wonder, too. You just look at the timing and how they handled him. He had been gone for a few months. You bring him back at a mile, a distance that he hasn't competed on since June of last year, and he really seems to have blossomed once they stretched him out. And then all of a sudden, second start off the bench, he shows up here. I kind of wonder if it was as simple as we need to get a race into him, and this is the goal all along.
I agree, and I think that was a good tightener for him. He's now getting out to the distance that he needs. He has had 3 races in his life at distances of 1.25 miles or greater. He's won all 3 of them, and I think it says something that a 3-year-old was able to take down some older horses in the Grade 3 Sycamore last year. Big Ben gets Florent Giroux, who's hoping to come in off a big high with Gun Runner on Saturday.
You know, and the other thing to keep in mind, too, this is one of the few Union Rags that can run on turf. Union Rags is a turf sire. He's on par with Bernardini at this point, but Tom Proctor has another runner in here we'll talk about in a little bit. I mean, this is a confident placing for Big Bend.
Some in Tieme is a horse that I think has a good amount of ability. He's just had circumstances work against him in a couple of situations. You and I both really liked the way he won the Grade 3 Louisville Handicap back in May, overcoming a little bit of traffic in upper stretch. And once he got to the outside, he rolled by those horses. He was being pointed to the Belmont Gold Cup after that race, and something must have happened physically because he went away for a long time. We liked him in the Sycamore. I think the layoff just worked against him. He did not look good in that race. And last time out in the River City, A, yielding ground, B, distance too short. I like that Kenny McPeek's gotten 6 strong works in him leading up to this race.
It at least gives you some encouragement that maybe he's feeling good and he's going to be ready to go. There is still, I think the points that you made about those 2 races are accurate. There is still that part of me after a long layoff. You haven't done any running in 2 starts. Maybe it has been circumstantial. I don't know how short I want to go before I find out that he just can't run anymore. Would I take him at 8? Probably not. I'd want more.
Ken McPeak also has the 12, Harlan Strong, coming off of an entry-level allowance win at the fairgrounds. The buyers are slowly creeping forward, but you compare him to the bigger picture, he's too slow.
Yeah, and the company he's faced has been okay. You go to that run 2 starts back, you've got horses that they came back out next and were earning mid-80s buyers. He's a nice horse. I just think he's in really tough.
Flashy Chelsea, another Michael Maker entrant. He only has 3 in this race. Finished 7th last time out, and an optional claimer going 1 mile and a 16th. But the runner-up in that race came back to improve his buy rule 100 when finishing 2nd in the graded Fort Lauderdale at a gigantic price. To me, I like him a little bit stretching out to this distance, but I'm not sure he's good enough to beat the real top names.
Yeah, for me, it's as simple as a class standpoint. I just don't think he's at quite of this level. I think he's a better horse suited for sort of the allowance level.
Formulator fact for a big-priced runner, that's the number 4 Net Game. This is an Iowa bred, and as we take a look, trainer Clinton Stewart over the past 3 years with older horses moving from dirt to turf has good numbers, 30%, a $6.26 ROI. This horse is a stakes winner on the turf, but I think the distance is a big, big ask.
Major concern, major question. It's also worth noting, I mean, just strictly from a class standpoint. These are going to be the best horses he's ever faced. Hard for me to argue with a formulator fact like that. And also, as far as I'm concerned, when you look and see when Stewart has run him on turf, you really have got 3 really good efforts, draw a line through that one kind of dud, but I mean, he hasn't done a heck of a lot wrong. He's going to be a big price.
Highly prized scored against optional claiming competition last time out at the fairgrounds. That race has not come back strong.
No, and this is a horse, he's been betting those races. He just still, on figs in class, he's a little bit light.
Paternal Pride is the number 10, 20-1 on the morning line for Steve Asmussen. And this horse comes into this race off of a 4th place finish in a race where Chip Leader has just been razor sharp. He came back to win with a 97 buyers riding a 3-race win streak. That being said, it's still a big class ask for this Asmussen trainee.
What do you think about the distance? He's been usually kept mile, 7.5. Occasionally they'll push him out to 9, and he ran fine in that run 3 starts back behind Turbo Street. But this is going to be the first time they go really long with him.
And he's a son of Majestic Perfection, who was mostly a sprinter, so it could be too much of an ask. West Road is 50-1 on the morning line, deservedly so. He's only 1 for 12 lifetime on the turf.
Only chance he has to try to steal it.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 John B. Connally. Now we're going to talk about that other Proctor trained runner, Chicago Style. He's so lightly raced, and if he could just take a little bit of a forward move off his last 2 races in which he paired up buyer tops, he's a major player.
Yeah, you know, I've got a sneaky feeling well, I say sneaky feeling, I hope this is how it plays out. I think he could be a top level kind of horse this year in these longer distance races, 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. The 2 graded tries, don't hold the 1-2 starts back against him. It's just a situation where there's no pace signed on. 1.25 miles, I think, is probably even a little bit sharp for him. Most recently, I can basically echo all the same things. The pace did not work for him. They were going absolutely crawling snail's pace out there. He was toward the rear. Drayden Van Dyke got him into the run. He swapped leads one time at about the 8th pole, but he quickly corrected himself. He has a major, major turn of foot. If there is any kind of pace in here, he's going to come with a run. I'm hopeful this is the beginning of a big 2018 for him.
You and I are both going with 5-year-old sons of Kitten's Joy who were completely compromised by pace last time out. You're absolutely right with Chicago Style. Not only was he basically in mid-pack off glacial fractions, he had to come very wide turning into the stretch. And I think that ground loss really cost him.
And it's also worth noting, I mean, Flamboyant came back to run a good second in his next start with a 97 buyer, so he's been keeping good company. You see Manitoulin. I understand everyone here in New York that looks at it and says, well, Manitoulin was a mid-level kind of horse and they shipped him out there and he won. I think that was circumstances. He was out there pressing soft fractions. Everything worked out for him. They didn't work for Chicago Style.
My Kitten's Joy is the 1 Camelot Kitten, and this is a horse that has some class lines and some races. He's a multiple graded stakes winner. He's now with Michael Maker, and if you look at bigger pictures, PPs, you saw what happened when Maker got his hands on bigger picture and stretched him out in distance. It's a Maker specialty. Camelot Kitten, I think, is going to show a little bit more speed in here, get into the race a little bit more, stretching out from 1 mile to 1.5 miles. And in that tropical turf, boy, he was just near the back of the pack, and when graded stakes horses go 49 and change to the half, there's no way Camelot Kitten or the other closers can win. He tried to get into it on the turn with a big wide move and then flattened out. Tower of Texas, the 3rd place finisher, also compromised by pace, came back to win the Colonel Bradley at the fairgrounds. The 5th place finisher, all included, came back to run a better than expected 3rd in the Fort Lauderdale with a 96 buyer. I think Camelot Kitten's okay. The distance is a little bit of a question, but Maker kind of makes me think he can do it.
This is a Maker thing, especially considering it's the first start since Maker has gotten him, and he immediately stretches him out to 1.5 miles. It does make me wonder, though. Usually we see these incredible transformations with Maker grabbing a lower or mid-level claiming horse and stretching them out. I wonder, does it still work taking a horse, not taking the horse, but having the horse transferred to you from Chad Brown?
That is a very, very fair point. I know you're not a big fan of Camelot Kitten to begin with.
It's not even so much that, it's just I don't think he's gotten any better. I feel
well,
like...
on figures he is not.
I feel like what he was early on as a 3-year-old is still what he is. It doesn't mean that he can't run. I think he could easily get a piece of this, and who knows, maybe the stretch out with Maker, it's going to work. The interesting thing for me is going to be, like you said, from a pace standpoint, what does Leparoux do? Does he get him into the running earlier? If he does, I think that's his best way to win, is sitting behind Roman Approval and maybe some of the cheaper speeds and try to get first run.
You're going to go 7, 9, 2, and 8, going with Chicago style, upwardly mobile, improving, good figure, solid runner. I'll go 1, 7, 8, 9. Take a chance with Camelot Kitten stretching out in distance. Again, if you sign up to DRF Bets, you'll be rewarded $200 free bet. No deposit required. DRF.com/join is where you need to go. Free bet 09. An approximate post time for the John B. Connally, a great treat at Sam Houston on Sunday, 3:40 Central. Good luck.